Have you ever heard of a homeless child saving a millionaire's life before he even knew how to save himself? In the pouring rain of a cold December night, a pregnant woman collapsed on a sidewalk, and no one stopped to help her, except for one barefoot, hungry, shivering boy with nothing to his name. This is not just a story of kindness. It's a story of fate, of heart, and of how even the smallest soul can carry the biggest miracles. It was New York City. Winter. The kind of winter where the cold doesn't just touch your skin, it buries into your bones. Cars rushed by, horns honked, and people bustled along the sidewalks, eyes glued to their phones, heads tucked into coats. And on one of those icy sidewalks, a woman fell. Her name was Vivian St. James, 34 years old, 8 months pregnant, and a self-made millionaire. She'd made her fortune in tech, on magazine covers one year, and in therapy the next. Vivian wasn't okay. Despite her success, she'd recently lost her husband to cancer. Her family had turned distant, and worst of all, she feared she wasn't strong enough to raise her unborn child alone. That night, she'd left a gala early. Her heels ached. Her belly felt tight. Her breathing grew short. And then, she collapsed, right there on 45th and Lexington. And no one stopped, except for one. From the shadows of a closed deli across the street, a pair of eyes watched. Eyes that had learned not to trust the world, not to expect kindness, because they hadn't received it. Malik was just 10 years old. His hoodie was soaked through, his feet bare, and he carried all his belongings in a garbage bag slung over his shoulder. A broken toy car, a worn-out blanket, and a picture of his mom, who'd died 2 years ago from an overdose in a shelter bathroom. He saw the woman fall, and without thinking he ran. He had no jacket, no gloves, just a heart. "Miss, he whispered, gently nudging her shoulder. "You okay?" Vivian moaned, barely conscious. And in that instant Malik made a decision. He threw down his bag, pulled off his thin hoodie, and wrapped it around her swollen stomach. Then he darted into traffic, waving his arms, screaming for help like his life depended on it. 'Cause hers did. Finally a cab screeched to a stop. The driver, a gruff man in his 50s, hesitated when he saw Malik. "I ain't got time for trouble, kid." "She's not trouble," Malik said, voice cracking. "She's gonna have a baby. Please." The man glanced at Vivian, unconscious and pale. Something shifted in his face. Together they got her in the back seat. Malik climbed in too. At the hospital, Malik refused to leave her side. Nurses tried to shoo him away, but he clutched her hand until she woke up. Vivian opened her eyes to a tiny, terrified boy who hadn't eaten in 2 days. "Did you help me?" He nodded. "You were cold, so I gave you my shirt. And then..." He smiled. Vivian's delivery was still weeks away, but that night sparked something. When the doctors realized she'd been moments from slipping into preeclampsia, they called her survival miraculous. She didn't feel lucky. But when she looked into Malik's eyes, raw, sincere, and hurting, she felt something she hadn't in months. Purpose. "Where are your parents?" she asked. He shrugged. "Dead. I don't got nobody." The words tore at her soul. Vivian made a choice. She asked the hospital to let him stay with her for the night. Just one night. He slept curled up on the couch, blanket tucked to his chin. It was the first time in a long time someone tucked him in. The next morning CPS showed up. Rules were rules. A homeless child couldn't just stay with a stranger. But Vivian wasn't just anyone. She offered her penthouse as temporary placement. She hired lawyers. She fought. And Malik. He didn't understand why people wanted to send him away from the first warm bed he'd had in years. The two formed a fragile but beautiful bond. Vivian cooked for him. He taught her how to laugh again. He'd sneak cookies from the kitchen and place them on her nightstand with little sticky notes. "For the baby. Hope she likes chocolate." Vivian hadn't known love like that in years. One night, Malik told her something he hadn't told anyone. "I saw you. Before you fell. You were crying." Vivian blinked. "You did." He nodded. I was gonna ask you for food. But when I saw your face, I knew you needed something too. That moment froze her. She had all the money in the world. But kindness. Malik had given it away when he had none. Act 1. Malik raises $11 by doing street sketches and buys Vivian a baby onesie. When she opens it, she sobs. It says, "My big brother is my hero." Act 2. Vivian helps Malik enroll in school. On his first day, he clutches her hand and whispers, "Please don't leave." She stays outside in the car all day. Act 3. Vivian starts a foundation, Hearts Without Homes, dedicated to helping homeless children. She names it after Malik. They become a family. When the baby girl is born, Vivian doesn't hesitate. "Malik," she says, "meet your sister." He holds her like she's made of glass. "She's so tiny." "She's strong," Vivian says. "Like you." Just when everything seems perfect, trouble rears its head. Malik's estranged uncle, a man with a long rap sheet, suddenly shows up demanding custody. Vivian fights tooth and nail. Court hearings, home visits, emotional breakdowns. But Malik stays strong. "You saved me, Vivian," he says. "Let me save us now." He stands in court, a trembling 11-year-old, and tells the judge, "This is my family. Please don't take it away." The judge rules in Vivian's favor. The courtroom erupts in tears. Flash forward. It's 10 years later. Malik is valedictorian of his high school. Vivian watches from the front row, her daughter in her lap, tears rolling down her cheeks. He steps to the podium. "You once called me your miracle," he says. "But really, you were mine." The crowd rises to its feet. Later that night, he finds her on the porch. The same blanket he'd once carried in a garbage bag now sits wrapped around her. "Thank you," he whispers. "For what?" "For seeing me when the world didn't." Malik went on to attend college, then law school. He now works to defend children who grew up just like him. Forgotten, invisible. Vivian. She still runs the foundation. But now it's co-chaired by her son. Because one freezing night, a homeless boy gave away his only hoodie to save a stranger, and changed both their lives forever. Can you imagine what one act of kindness could do in your life? Or someone else's? If this story moved you, please give it a like. Share it with someone who needs hope today. Drop a comment. What's the kindest thing someone's ever done for you? And don't forget to subscribe, because in our next story, a deaf janitor saves a young boy's life without ever saying a word.